I now call the March 25th, 2025 meeting of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education to order. Board members Lenora Shipp and Melissa Easley are participating via simultaneous communications via Zoom. The agenda is being adopted by unanimous consent. I turn to the superintendent for recognition of SOFG students.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We are so excited this evening to recognize students who are in middle school, grades 6, 7, and 8. They're being recognized this evening for their outstanding achievement in English language arts. So scholars, when I call your name, will you please stand to be recognized? And at the very end, we are going to ask all of our scholars to stand along with our parents, our family members, and also our school team members that have come to support you. And we're going to give you all a really large round of applause. All right, so let's get started. Our first student is Odias Arrayas Rodriguez from McClintock Middle School. Isaiah Timon from Druid Hills Academy. Kalia Brooks Copeland, Piedmont IB. Kayshawn Leak, McClintock Middle School. Janal Boyk from Randolph Middle School. Lev Machuga, J.M. Robinson. Curlin Santos Chavez from Alexander Graham. Jaden Lynch, Whitewater Middle. Zoe Kyler, Northridge Middle. Harmony Barnes, James Martin Middle. Maya Lothar, Piedmont IB. Rachel Heron, Randolph Middle. Jeremiah McConnell, J.M. Robinson. Ivion Rhine, Ridge Road Middle. Aubrey Mays, Northwest School of the Arts. Zoe Jackson, Ridge Road. Annalise Park, Kennedy Middle. Evelyn Perez Reyes, J.M. Robinson. Andrea Walker, Alexander Graham. Marcella Monroy, Alexander Graham. Angelica Sanchez, Southwest Middle. Stephen Ye Jr., Eastway Middle. Jador Allen, Alexander Graham. Amari Dukes, Randolph Middle. Sune Gutierrez Funes, Renaissance West STEAM Academy. Liam Greenwald, Mint Hill Middle. Jarrell Pringle, Southwest Middle. Talea Green, Southwest Middle. James Bell, Mint Hill Middle. Wyatt Sheaves, Mint Hill Middle. and Amir Curry, Mint Hill Middle. Will all of our scholars please stand to be recognized along with family members and staff members? Students, we want you to know that we are so incredibly proud of your hard work, the hard work and commitment of your families, as well as your teachers and your administrators and school staff. We know that part of your achievement comes from all of the homework that you're completing and your attendance in school. So we want you to go home, get a great night's sleep, and make sure you're on time for school tomorrow. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. Two and 3-year-old poo-poo.
He probably knows her.
I don't even see mine.
Those people
Oh.
be one of his members.
Mine is a bad because I was like, I didn't even see him. All right. All right, board members, the consent agenda items have been provided to you in advance. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Moved by Fires Bailey.
Second.
Second by Rankin. All those in favor by show of hands.
Can't see them.
So that's unanimous, Madam Clerk, well, no, it's not unanimous. It's
Oh, wait, they're
it's
coming
6.
off. They both.
Oh, they're
voted.
there. Okay. Unanimous, Madam Clerk. All right. For our public engagement this evening, the first reading is to modifications of policy B-BPP and Exhibit B-PP/E, Board Policy Process. I turn to Vice Chair Rankin as the Chair of the Policy Committee.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications of policy B-BPP and Exhibit B-BPP-E, Board Policy Process. The proposed modifications add the General Counsel as an initiator for policy changes and remove the specified period for the Superintendent and Chief Compliance Officer to review proposed policy changes. The Policy Committee considered these requests at our March 12, 2025 meeting and unanimously recommended approval by the full Board.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as the Chair of the Policy Committee for the first reading of modifications of policy B-COM Board Committees.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications of policy B-COM Board Committees. The proposed modifications dissolve the Student Outcomes Focused Governance Committee as its charter, remove the Community Equity Committee as a standing committee, add quorum and voting rules for committees, and set forth the frequency of committee meetings and the deadline for submission of committee agendas. The Policy Committee considered these requests at our March 12, 2025 meeting and unanimously recommended approval by the full Board.
I I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as Chair of the Policy Committee for the first reading of modifications of policy B-COMA, advisory committees and board-approved groups.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications of policy B-COMA board committees. The proposed modifications add the Community Equity Committee as an advisory committee and clarify the appointment process for that committee. The Policy Committee considered these requests at our March 12, 2025 meeting and unanimously recommended approval by the full board.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as Chair of the Policy Committee for the first reading for modifications of policy S-SCOM, school-related complaints and retirement of P-APLP, appeals from decisions of school personnel to Board of Education.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed modifications of policy S-SCOM, school board-related complaints and proposed retirement of P-APLP, appeals from decisions of school personnel to Board of Education. The proposed modifications direct the superintendent to establish a regulation for formal resolution of school-related complaints, delineate school-related matters that require statutorily prescribed resolution/appeal procedures, set forth the procedures for discretionary board hearings, and render policy P-APLP mute. The Policy Committee considered this request at our March 12, 2025 meeting and unanimously recommended the proposed changes for this approval by the full board via a fast-track timeframe. Therefore, this first reading, the public hearing, and the vote on the policy modifications and retirement of P-APLP will occur at tonight's regular meeting of the board.
I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin as Chair of the Policy Committee for the first reading of omnibus policy changes required by Chapter 115C of the North Carolina General Statutes.
Madam Chair, this is the first reading of the proposed omnibus policy changes required by Chapter 115C of the North Carolina General Statutes. The proposed omnibus modifies A-CHE, Comprehensive Health Education, creates A-FLAG, Pledge Allegiance to the Flag, modifies O-ELX, Relations with Enforcement Agencies, modifies S-ATT, Attendance Monitoring/Accounting. The Policy Committee considered this request at our March 12, 2025 meeting and unanimously recommended approval by the full board.
We now have a public hearing before us for modification of policy S-SCOM, school-related complaints, and retired P-APLP, appeals from decisions of school personnel to Board of Education. Since there are no speakers that have signed up to speak to this matter, I now declare this public hearing closed. Next, we have the public hearing for the superintendent's 2026-2027 CMS calendar recommendations. Since there are no speakers that have signed up to address this matter, I now declare this public hearing closed. I turn to Dr. Hill for the financial statements February 2025 report.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the budget amendments February 2025 report.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the contracts and change orders report for February 2025.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the student outcomes focused governance monitoring report, Goal 2, interim measures 2.2, grades 6 through 8.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening again. I am providing a brief presentation prior to our discussion this evening. This report is focused on Goal 2, interim measure 2.2, reading grades 6 through 8. Goal 2 is to increase the percent of students scoring at College and Career Ready on our reading end-of-grade assessments in grades 3 through 8 from 31% in June 2023 to 50% in June 2029. In this report, we will look at the percent of 6th through 8th grade students projected to achieve college and career readiness on their reading end-of-grade assessment this school year. We will use MVPA, which stands for Master Review Assessments Benchmarks, to make these projections until students take the end-of-grade assessment at the end of the year and when that data is available. These benchmark assessments allow us to determine if we were on track to achieving our annual target and to make quick adjustments along the way. Across the 30,397 Charlotte-Mecklenburg school students in grades 6 through 8 assessed during the second administration of this school year, 33% are projected to be a level 4 or 5 in reading on their end-of-grade assessment at the end of the school year. That is an increase of 6% over the actual EOG performance of students last school year, and an increase of 3% over the 2024-25 first administration of our MVPA assessment. The target for this year is 37% of students scoring a level 4 or 5 in reading on their reading end-of-grade assessment at the end of this school year. This data puts us overall in goal status of progressing, as seen in the top right corner of this slide. This is our current performance for the entire 6 through 8 reading goal. We arrived at this status in accordance with the Student Outcomes Focused Governance Manual, which states, while student outcome goals and current student performance may not match perfectly, it only becomes problematic when there is no evidence of student growth and progress. As you can see here, the percent of students in grades 6 through 8 achieving a level 4 or 5 in reading decreased from 28% in the 22-23 school year to 27% in the 23-24 school year. The 23-24 EOG actual fell short of our target by 7 points. The target for this current year is set 37%, which requires a 10% point increase this year. This data puts us overall in the goal status of progressing, as seen in the top right-hand corner of this slide. 30,396 students in grades 6 through 8 completed the second administration of our MVPA English Language Arts assessment. 11,247 students need to achieve a level 4 or 5 on their reading end-of-grade assessment this year for us to achieve our annual target of 37%. This current reading benchmark results indicate that 9,926 students are projected to be a level 4 or 5 in reading. Therefore, 1,321 additional students in grades 6 through 8 would need to achieve a level 4 or 5 in reading on the end-of-grade assessment this year to achieve our target of 37%. As explained earlier, exact student counts rarely align equally from one benchmark to the next. However, within the first MVPA benchmark for this school year, 2,066 additional 6th through 8th grade students were required to meet CCR to reach our Goal 2 interim measure target of 37%. With 1,321 students remaining below the threshold, we have improved our grades 6 through 8 CCR percentage by nearly 750 students, which is 36% of the original deficit. This should be celebrated. Now we will take a very quick look at the strategies being enacted this year to accelerate reading for college and career readiness for students in grades 3 through 8. And these projects are in our district annual plan. So on this slide, you will see all of our goal-aligned projects, but I would like to share some strategy highlights. Our classroom action walks. We are currently using data in conjunction with our benchmarks and iReady data to do two things. Number one, continue to plan for professional development and to deploy our specialist support. So as of March 17th, we are sending all of our instructional specialists out to our schools to support students in small groups instruction, and we're doing that 3 times a week. For MTSS, which stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, in our February leadership meeting, we supported our principals with moving from just using our EVOS projections and benchmarks to inform plans for student instruction to also using iReady. And we've received very positive principal feedback. Principals let us know that our timing was great, and doing this data analysis work after the initial semester supported us in making sure that we were able to get students assessed, building personalized pathways in iReady, and setting expectations for use. And so just as a reminder, for first quarter iReady, we really focused the first quarter making sure that kids were able to log in. Second quarter, we were focused on 30 minutes and family support. And third quarter, we're really focusing on how to use the iReady data to drive instruction. And finally, for our strategy highlight, I'd like to highlight family education, outreach, and engagement. We've hosted virtual coffee and conversations, a series that included support on our MVPA and iReady, and as well as our superintendent's parent-family advisory committee on last week. We asked for feedback specifically on a prototype of our student assessment results and learning plan to include in our parent resources. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Sneed, to facilitate our strategic discussion.
Thank you so much, board members. As usual, we will look backwards first and then move forward. Are there any questions? Board membership?
Yes, thank you. As I look at page 8, I'm going to go right into the strategy, which is provide comprehensive curriculum and professional development. And this was one of the outputs today. When we talk about scaffolding, over scaffolding, and lowering the rigor level of instruction in the classroom, and this was happening throughout the district. And teachers are doing a lot of the talking, the heavy lifting, doing the work to ensure students maybe get correct answers or get it done. Why do you think this is so? Because it really is a challenge to apply your critical thinking skills.
Ms. Shipp, I think I understood your question, so if I'm off track, just let me know.
Okay.
But I am going to, in your presentation, it would be slide number 34.
Mm-hmm. In the appendix, or?
In the appendix, yes, ma'am. Here it is. So I think what you were asking the question about is scaffolding, is that correct?
Right, exactly.
That's what I thought. Okay, so this slide just really demonstrates the use of our EL curriculum and how we use that curriculum to differentiate instruction. And so, again, the EL curriculum includes instruction that's differentiated to meet the needs of our students, which of course includes our students that are English language learners, students that have disabilities, as well, of course, our students that are advanced learners. So one of the things that our curriculum includes is the complex text, which is heavily focused on engaging students in content areas such as science and social studies. But what you will notice here in this blue box here, this just represents the gradual release of responsibility. So what we are really wanting our teachers to do in the classroom as they're doing all of this work, determining what students already know, setting a goal, taking a look at their instructional plans, and then implementing the lessons. We really want our teachers to focus on fading that support. We also talk about that as the gradual release of responsibility, so students have the opportunity to demonstrate their learning. The other thing that I will point out, the reason why this is really important is, let's see here. I'm going to go quickly to slide 25 in the appendix. So what you will see on this slide, Ms. Shipp, on slide 25, this is DOK levels. It's called Webb's Depth of Knowledge. So if you'll notice over on the chart, this is a table for our end of grade reading assessment in grades 3 through 8. And it breaks down the distribution of questions by DOK level. So if you'll take a look at 6, 7, and 8, you will notice that between 60 to 82% of the questions are DOK 2 level. However, our goal for students being college and career ready, they need to get more questions correct, specifically in the area of DOK 3. So you see that can be anywhere from 18% to 40% of the assessment. And our DOK 3 level is really that strategic thinking that you were talking about. Students have to cite their sources, they have to draw conclusions, they have to differentiate, they have to do things such as reasoning and planning in order to respond, and multiple answers and multiple approaches could be evident in the actual assessment. So in terms of rigor, we are really taking a look at our students, where they are, and trying to look at their assessment data and analyzing what types of questions are those students actually getting correct, and then
Right.
with that information really driving home that scaffolding support to get our students that may be scoring at a level 3 to score a level 4 or 5. Does that accurately answer your question?
It does, and I think one of the things, though, I think was a challenge when you talk about the heavy lift for teachers is when they want students to get correct answers, get it right, and sometimes is that more important as they look at grading and all that compared to the process of critical thinking and how we get to arrive at an answer, not just getting there. That challenge of moving them from the knowledge level to the comprehension level, to the analysis, synthesis level, all of that. So I guess that was my question. Do you think that is the challenge with the scaffolding being at a heavy lift for teachers to try to get them there?
Yes, ma'am. So yes, it is a challenge to get them there, but again, we have really strong curricula and really strong resources. You can't see the page number here, but it is up on the slide here where you see our actual module outline. So what you will notice in the very last paragraph, I think that says maybe 26, 36. It says, let me look at my notes, because I took notes on this one. So give me 1 minute. I apologize. The very last thing that students are expected to do in each unit is a performance task. So as you know, being an educator, when students have to complete a performance task, you're really not looking at one specific answer because students are being required to demonstrate their learning through multiple ways. So the challenge is to ensure that we're really getting through all parts of the curricula as designed, but if we are getting to that last section of the performance task, that ensures that we are really addressing the rigor and students are able to demonstrate their learning.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Any other backwards looking questions? Dr. Witherspoon?
My question falls sort of in line with what Ms. Shipp was saying. I'm going to ask it anyway. Maybe I can. Have you noticed any necessary adjustments in the district's instructional practices are within the curriculum in order to sustain the momentum, looking at page 18, I think it is, the momentum of the growth across all demographic groups while maintaining the rigor and high expectations?
Yes, so thank you, Dr. Witherspoon, and let me go to that slide 18 so people see what the data that you're referencing. Here we go. So yes, you will see our students across all student groups are seeing gains from the first benchmark to the second benchmark, so we're glad to see those arrows going up. What I would attribute to these increases, and I just want to make sure that the board as well as the public really understands the way that we've been organized in the past and the way that we're currently organized. So beginning July 1st, 2024, so this school year, as a reminder, we reorganized from learning community superintendents to school performance area superintendents. And we have 3 school performance area superintendents, and I'm looking up because I see 2 of them here, right? And they're waving. So we have Jennifer Dean, who's been with the district for a very long time, excellent educator, as well as Kimberly Vaught, who is our K-8. And then joining us from another state is soon-to-be Dr. Kimberly Jones. And so the thing that I want to point out is that those folks started in their role in July. So it has not even yet been a full year. The other thing that I will point out is that prior to this year, we did not have any leadership focused on middle school teaching and learning. It did not exist. We had a secondary director that was focused on 6 through 12, all content areas, but we did not have anyone specifically for 6 through 8. And Ms. Johnson was here earlier, and I saw her leave, so perhaps she got a phone call, so I know she was here this evening. So with that being said, we've had to be really intentional in the support that we provide for our middle schools. When the board was developing this goal, I said to the team, I am probably, and they will shake their heads, most concerned about Goal 2, specifically 6-8, because the other areas we've had leadership and support. We've not really had formalized leadership and support for middle school. So our ability to shift our focus to 6 through 8 by realigning, and again, all these folks are new in their role, and the heavy lift that we have to do, knowing that last year we missed our target by 1%, and this year we have to increase by 7%. As superintendent, we had to really zero in and focus resources. And so we've been able to do that with the staff that's here. They're absolutely phenomenal, taking a look at our curricula and really leveraging that curricula and really going hard in terms of our core action walks. Are we seeing what we expect to see in the classrooms? And again, I just want to be clear. It's not that our middle schools were not doing what they were supposed to be doing in the classroom, but in essence, we had lack of leadership. As you recall, previous board goals were not focused on middle schools, so that was an area that we were not heavily focused on. The goals this board have adopted span much more. To Ms. Nunn always talked about, what about, the continuum? So we're really excited about this goals. But to your point, the reason why all those arrows are going up is because we have heavily resourced middle school because there was a clear deficit.
Can I go before you? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I did.
Can I? I want to ask a follow-up. It's on the same page. Okay. Thank you. So I had a similar question, but different. But since you're already on page 18, and it may be the same response, because when you look at the previous years, I'm looking at the gaps between demographics, right? So now what we're looking at in 24, 25 is that they're all about the same pacing. So that means that some demographic groups had to rate, increase tremendously in order to close those gaps. Mm-hmm. Your answer just may be the same, and if that's it, that's fine. Were there strategies specifically to address closing those gaps?
Yes, ma'am. Several strategies. One I just talked about in terms of leadership. The other thing that I would say is that we've invested heavily, so it's not just these folks, but also their executive directors. They are in schools. Dr. Balknight has been very clear about the expectation for them and their specialists to be in schools providing support. And then we've also added additional layers of support for principals, specific schools that may have a school performance letter grade of a D or an F that we need to accelerate. So we've added additional supports. But one of the things that I do want to point out here, let me find it in my notes and then go to it. It's the I've Ready slides. So one of the tools that we have in our toolbox is iReady. There we go. All right, so one of the things that iReady does for us is they are able to show us data in terms of typical growth for students and then stretch growth for students. I'm sorry, I apologize. It is going to be slide 60.
Got it.
Got it? Okay. I apologize. Slide 60. So what you will see here is iReady provides information in terms of students' typical growth and their stretch growth. So typical growth is just that. It's the average growth of students at each grade level placement. Typical growth allows you to see how a student is growing compared to average student growth at the same grade and baseline placement level. All right? So here on this chart, we have the percentage of students that have met our typical growth at middle of year. And then you have the stretch growth. And so this is the growth recommended to put students placed below grade level on a path toward proficiency, and students who placed on grade level to a path of advanced proficiency. So that would be the board's CCR level. But we acknowledge that students who are further behind have a larger growth benchmark to help them catch up, and it takes many students more than 1 year to achieve that proficiency. So one of the things that iReady is able to do, because we have this data, we know, going back to those groups of students, to your point, some students have much further to go. So this is just another tool in our toolbox, and because iReady is adaptive, meaning based on how students are doing, it adapts, and teachers are able to use in their intervention time iReady tools as well as other tools to support students' advancement. Those are just some of the strategies that we've been able to get all of those arrows going up. So again, it's layered support, but it's not just this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do it. We're going to monitor, not for compliance, but to support you. So I'm a really strong believer that 90% of the people will do what they're, like, people will rise to the expectation if they know what to do. But we can't just tell people what to do. We have to show them what to do and then coach them along the way.
Thank you. Board Member Nunn. Oh, you had a follow-up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead, though.
go ahead. Go ahead, if you had a
It's
follow-up.
very brief. Is the curriculum implemented across the district the same?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Board Member Nunn.
This led me to other questions, but I'll ask my first question.
Okay.
One of the things I didn't see, and maybe we don't have this, but I know MVPA was implemented last year, I believe.
Yes.
Do we know how that correlated to the actual, how well did it predict where students finished? And maybe I missed it, but I just wanted to know, how did that
Yes.
align?
Let's see if we have it. So as I'm looking for that slide, I will begin answering the question. So what we know about any assessment that we deliver that, I don't know if I have that. I don't have that, do I, Beth? Phoning a friend. Not in this deck? Okay, I'll get that for you.
Do you know
but-
directionally, did it correlate to where we ended up?
Yeah,
or-
so what I will say, I can get that information for you, but what I will just say in general in terms of predictability is there's lots of factors. So the first time that you administer something like MVPA, it's not going to predict as strongly based on implementation science, right? So there's lots of factors that go into the predictability of any assessment or anything that you're using. But the better you get at it, the more closely aligned and more predictive it is. I don't have that exact information, but I'll be happy to provide that to you.
Okay. And can I ask a follow-up? I think secondarily, I think as we were having budget discussions, you mentioned kind of an alarming stat that we have like half of these teachers are in the first few years. Have we looked at like how our beginning teachers are doing versus our more tenured teachers, especially this middle school set, since it is now such a big focus?
Yeah, we've not pulled that data specific to this current school year, but we definitely have aligned supports in place for all of our teachers. And so that aligned support would be through the support of our master teachers, the support of our teacher leader pathway, schools that have that teacher leader pathway program, as well as any direct supports that our teachers are receiving from administrators, additional beginning teacher coaches, and things like that.
Vice Chair Rankin.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm on slide 10 in the first column of the inputs reflecting on the period between benchmark 1 and benchmark 2. What specific teacher behaviors were observed during the Common Core walks that may have contributed to the increased projection of 33% of our students scoring at the CCR level?
Yes, so specifically implementation of curriculum. As I mentioned earlier, initially when our team was going into schools, they noticed that there were gaps in understanding in terms of the curricula and implementation of said curricula. So that's one of the things. So as we've moved from benchmark 1 to benchmark 2, we've seen better implementation of the curriculum through our core action walks. And then the second thing that I would say is that our team has noticed that there's been increased focus on small group instruction, as well as an increased focus on effective use of the intervention block. And then the last thing that I would say that I just lost my train of thought is, oh, yes, that's what it was. The use of the response to benchmark documents that our teaching and learning team has put together. So in this presentation, we've linked some of those documents that are very specific. And so working what we've seen through the core action walks and through all of the data analysis and all of that, the teachers are actually using the response to benchmark to address any deficits that they may have noticed as a result of the first benchmark. So they are actually responding to the data.
What's that called again?
It's called the response to benchmark. Let me get to that slide.
No, I know.
It would be slide number 30. Just want to provide you guys with all kinds of info. Here it is. Okay. So on this slide, you will see those blue hyperlinks.
Yeah.
So in you all's documents, when you click on any of those resources, you will see very detailed information. There's a decision-making flow chart, the curriculum embedded in re-engagement. So basically it says, had the content been taught, yes or no? If it has been taught and the students were not proficient on specific standards, there's specific curriculum embedded re-engagement through our EL curriculum. There's specific supplemental resources that are provided for small group instruction, our intervention block, as well as tutoring for before and after school, and then a plethora of aligned resources, such as the iReady Teacher Toolbox. And the link isn't, like when teachers go into this, they don't just click on the iReady Teacher Toolbox and it opens up to a voluminous amount. It takes them directly to what they need to do in response to that specific standard. So my point is, the team has, our team has created all of this. But the goal is to make it so turnkey that when the master teacher is sitting down with, to your point, Ms. Nunn, perhaps a newer teacher or perhaps an experienced teacher that's that just needs a refresher, it takes them directly to those resources, and they see, oh, this is RI 6.1 that I need to focus on reteaching. Here are the exact tools that I need to teach, and the tools are also aligned to the DOK level, which speaks to the question that Ms. Shipp asked earlier in terms of rigor.
That's really good, really good. Follow-up. Follow-up is going the other way, staying in that same section, same column around inputs. What behaviors were identified that may have limited the projected score from surpassing the 33% level?
Thank you. So that goes back to the question that Ms. Shipp asked earlier about scaffolding. And so if you will recall, I spoke a little bit about scaffolding and the teacher's ability after we teach the content, that gradual release of responsibility, allowing the students to dive deep and demonstrate their learning instead of us continuing to provide supports. In other words, providing everything that they need to do and then stepping back and allowing them to actually demonstrate their knowledge. And that comes in a variety of ways. I spoke to the performance task earlier. Let me go to a slide that actually might help a little bit here. With this answer. It is my slide focused on, give me 1 minute, environment for classroom walkthroughs. And I will not be offended by any of my team members that shout out what page it's on. Had a great slide. I'm sorry, I can't find it. Well, I apologize, it is here. Well, I can't find it.
That's fine. So the behavior you're talking about is around the scaffolding and the ability to apply it, and then you say pretty much step away and allow the student.
Yes, that's correct. I really want to find this slide because it's a really good slide. So if you just give me a moment,
Yeah.
I'm going to flip through all of these papers. There it is. Okay, it is slide 36. I can't see the slide. There we go. Okay, so this slide, if you take a look in the far right-hand corner, column. So again, this speaks to the rigor. And so this is really what defines an effective 6th through 8th grade English language arts classroom for our students. So this is what what we're actually looking for, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. But take a look in that last column where it talks about the second bullet, students feel challenged but supported in their learning. So that really speaks to the rigor and the scaffolding. The third bullet, a sense of ownership over their own learning. And then the last one that talks about clear alignment to our values, emphasizing equity, rigor, and engagement. Those are the pieces that we're really looking for that we expect to see a boost in terms of our classroom walkthroughs during this final push towards the end of the year. Because those are the types of things that are aligned with the DOK 3, which would be that higher level thinking, that critical thinking, that rigor. It's also important to remember when we think about our EVOS from last year, we exceeded growth in all content areas except for a couple in which we met. But when we look at our student groups, one of the areas that we really need to focus on is our students that are academically and intellectually gifted. So making sure that we have that really strong balance of pressure and support for our students, but making sure that there's lots of opportunities for them to demonstrate their learning.
All right, thank you.
Board Member Klein.
Thank you. Looking at, you made me think about something with the teachers. There's so much with middle school right now with iReady, with MVPA, and the toolboxes. And then I loved how you said it points out a specific area. My question is, you've got a teacher, even 2 years experience, and you've got 25 kids in a classroom. How are they balancing? What are we doing right now to help balance if you've got 20 different kids with 20 different areas that iReady has identified?
So a couple of things. Our teachers are using multiple data points to group students. One of the things that is really strong about our current curricula is it is focused on grade level content, but there's also specific information in the curricula that supports teachers in how they provide that differentiated core. And so we've talked about that here at the dais, but there is an example that's in the presentation that actually is about a boarding school for Native Americans and how that particular unit is used to address in the differentiated core. So to your point, if there's a classroom of 25 students, we know that there are 25 individual learning needs. But here's just an example of how we differentiate core instruction. And in this example, we have information specifically for our below grade level students, our English language learner students, and then our on and above grade level students. So this is what it looks like in terms of the differentiated core. But then in addition to that, we of course are using the multi-tiered system of support model to support our students during that intervention block. So depending on the multiple data points, including iReady, the unit assessments that go with the EL curriculum, and our benchmarks, then teachers are able to group students for either small group instruction or individualized support that they would receive during the intervention block. And then, of course, students that are performing above grade level during that intervention block, they are receiving enrichment support.
One quick, looking at iReady and MVPA, because we've got a lot of children that may have only completed one lesson. It looks like it's improving. Have we seen how they're doing it, how children who've completed more iReady time have performed with MVPA? I think that's...
Yes. Yes, so our data tells us that our students that are actually using iReady at least 30 minutes a week are actually improving more. And so that information is here. Here it is right here. Does typical growth differ with personalized instruction usage? So what you will see on this chart, and it's what we would expect, is that the students that are participating in the personalized learning track receive more growth. So those students in the 30-plus minutes bucket have made more growth towards their progress, towards their typical and or their stretch growth versus those that have not used iReady 30 minutes or more. So to your point, Ms. Klein, for students in grades 6 through 8, we are just now seeing an increase in usage since January. So we know that if we will continue to increase usage, then the goal is to see more impact for our students who are reaching their typical and their stretch growth.
All right, any other backwards? No?
Yeah, I guess it's either or.
Okay.
Hybrid. I want to talk about school, talk about being at home, parents. How, in what ways can a district enhance parent or caregiver engagement to create stronger at-home support systems and to reinforce the classroom learning? For me, for instance, even when for me, everything from iReady, which I use at home personally, how are we getting that information to parents? Also, sort of interpreting, and I know there's some things on their assessments that kind of they're keys and sort of guides, but how are we helping parents to engage and understand all of this? It's kind of broad, but.
Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon. So this is one of our key projects in terms of family and community partnerships. So what I have here on the slide is we have new resources that are in development for our MVPA and our classroom assessments. So what we have done is we have provided coffee chats as well as lunch and learns to share the different assessments, what they assess, and then how parents can use that information to support their child better. But one of the things that I'm really excited about is we asked our end users. So we have asked parents that have participated in our Family Academy, as well as those that are on the Superintendent's Parent and Family Advisory Committee. When we met last week, we actually had a session, and we previewed some of the resources that we're thinking about launching to help parents. But instead of us doing all of this work and creating these things, and then the end user saying, that's really not helpful, we actually used my advisory council as a launch to take a look at these different options for elementary, middle, and high. So we're talking about middle school tonight, so specifically middle. There's some resources there. We asked them to review the examples and then to provide feedback. And then this is our timeline. We developed it, we gathered feedback in March, and then we will have a go live on our CMS website in April. So we have some things that are there, but we're enhancing it. But one of the places that we knew that we needed to start is helping parents understand all these assessments that we're giving and how you use that information to help your child at home. And the team has done an excellent job. And actually, if you go to our website, we've housed videos of those sessions. So if anyone missed it, they can just simply go to our CMS website, go in the search bar, click on Family Academy, and information will pop up.
All right, I think we're transitioned to forward. Start with Board Member Nunn.
Well, I'll just add, I think this is fantastic because I have been lost as a sixth grade parent, especially when there's areas that I'm like, I don't know where you guys are in the curriculum. Like, we understand iReady, and that's easy because it's computer-based, but when they don't do well on a test, you're kind of lost on how to help them. Yes. That actually leads me to a question I have. It's kind of forward thinking. As we look at, we've got, as Board Member Klein alluded to, MBPA, they've got iReady, they've got all these modules. I think one of the things that I've heard, and then they've got, because of grading policy, retests and things like that. It feels like every other day there's something for these middle schoolers, which has become a little overwhelming, to be quite honest. I've seen it in my child, for instance, but I guess how are we balancing all these things, especially given, I think the thing that's been challenging is they're bouncing around. So, like, how are the teachers, like, reteaching if they miss that? You know, like, I think that it's not an easy issue to solve, but it's one of the questions that I've had as we think forward. I know there's a lot of new focus, but it's just one thing. This will be extremely helpful so we can follow along. But how do they balance that?
Yes, so what I would say is that our team has done an excellent job of listening and collecting feedback. So exactly what you're saying is what we heard from our teachers. And so today is Tuesday. So last night we met with our superintendent's teacher advisory council. And a couple of weeks ago we met with the principal advisory council. And so with the feedback that we've heard, the team, Dr. Jackson and Ryan Revac, actually mocked up some potential new assessment calendars with the idea of less is more, and let's really look at the actual calendar when assessments are given. You know, I always call it no school November and then holiday December, you know, that crunch time. So what they calculated out is the assessments are providing us excellent information. Everyone acknowledges that, right? We bring in our instructional leadership teams to come in and take a look at their data. They develop their plans. Then they meet with me and other district leaders to share, like, this is what our data, this was our goal, our target, actual, please explain meeting. This was our target, this was our actual, they please explain why they did or didn't hit their target and what they're going to do about it. What principals told us and what teachers told us is all of that's great, but we have to have time to actually go back and implement the plan. And so what the team did based on that feedback is mocked up some potential options. We shared that with Platt. They gave us great feedback. We tightened it up a little bit, and then last night shared it with STAC. They were ecstatic about the possibilities. And so based on their feedback, we will be solidifying our assessment calendar next year and then doing some realignment. But basically based on early feedback, is that we will be able to really be strategic in the way that we place our assessments, allowing for plenty of time for reteach, but also enough time to review the data and do all those things. So kudos to our teachers and our principals that have provided the feedback, and then kudos to our team that's responded to that feedback as well. So we will see a different assessment calendar next school year.
Follow-up. Board Member Klein.
I'll have a follow-up. Thank you for re-examining the testing schedule. And I know it's for next year, but we've got fourth quarter. And of course, fourth quarter has EOGs and EOIs and everything else. Is there a possibility to be flexible, to allow some flexibilities in the testing and instructional calendar if a team sees the need to be flexible?
No.
Not this year, so we are tied in.
Correct. And that's for two reasons. Number one, it's because it's already been baked out in our plan. And number two, you all expect me to sit here and have a conversation. And I can't have a conversation about data if we don't actually give an assessment. So our teacher teams, our administrators, as I stated earlier, they love the data and they want that data to be able to be actionable because they are all focused on their target for next year. Keeping that in mind, we're looking forward to any changes that we would make next school year.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Shipp.
Yes, I guess my question, and I guess this is looking forward, and I see, we're moving forward. At the second administration, we were at 33%, so it's about 4% still to go, and we need 1,321 students, 6th through 8th grade, to reach this goal. How will we get there, and do we believe we're on target for that as we're looking at where we are now?
We are on track. We are progressing. We know that we have Herculean work to do. But as I shared earlier, we have a new team, but a committed team. I think the biggest lever that we are implementing is the strategic focus of our instructional specialists As I provided to the board earlier this week, we had 95 specialists that went out last week, district-wide. But those that are assigned to middle school, they are focused on those students that are scoring a 3+ on their last benchmark, in an effort to really push those students into scoring a level 4 or 5, which would be the highest level of performance in order to meet the board's goals. The other thing that we're leveraging is, additional coaching and support side by side for our middle schools, specifically those middle schools that may have a school performance grade of a D or an F. And we have, because we know that those schools have additional complexities and additional support. I have said publicly and continue to state that those schools, they are not bad schools, they're not bad students, they're not underperforming schools, they're not underperforming students, but what it signals to me as superintendent and this leadership team, it's my responsibility to direct more resources to support those schools so they will accelerate at a level in which the students and that community deserve.
And as a follow-up, and how are we looking at specific groups? I just want to say, like our ML, our students, our, multilingual, exceptional children, and our AIG, as we really try to move. And some of those might be right on the cusp of moving on how we're looking at those students specifically.
Yes, ma'am. So we, as Dr. Witherspoon indicated earlier, all of those arrows are going up. So we are not
Yes,
looking
that's
at changing any strategy here. As we move into the fourth quarter, we're continuing with the strategies that have been giving us good results. I would say the biggest lever that we're pulling right now is accelerating supports to specific schools, as well as, and that's in the form of support of those instructional leaders, as well as direct support to students through our instructional specialists for small group instruction.
Thank you.
All right, Vice Chair Rankin.
I'm looking at the data on slide 11, and based on the response I received from the technical and tactical questions, I just want to make sure I have the understanding that iReady identifies students' skill level is not directly aligned with North Carolina standards. So how is the iReady data informing us how likely we'll achieve our goal?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So iReady and MVPA are two different types of assessments. The iReady assessment is an assessment for learning, and it's adaptive. So you and I might be in 6th grade, but we might be in different stages of our reading development, right? So when I'm taking the iReady assessment, it's adapting based on my responses, and it's also adapting based on yours, right? But at the end of the day, and I might be a student in 6th grade who's reading on a 2nd grade level, and you might be a 6th grade student who's reading on a 7th grade level. So it's adapting. Based on that assessment, the results will generate a standards-aligned report for me, as well as a standards-aligned report for you. Because in essence, if you look at the K-8 curriculum, for the most part, the standards are aligned. They just change in terms of what is necessary for a student in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know it by heart, but RL 1, Reading for Literature 1, might be theme for 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, but it might still be theme for 8th grade. But obviously what a 6th, 7th, 8th grade needs for theme is different. So it does end up being standards aligned. The MVPA is the exact same assessment for me as it is for you. So it's based on getting to a specific point in time. The MVPA is more of a summative assessment And we usually think about summative assessments like EOG, but it's really a summative assessment of that particular time period, if that makes sense. So 2 different assessments for 2 different purposes. MVPA is going to give you a standards align, like how did you do on this assessment that's 6th grade based on these 6th grade standards. iReady gives you a similar report, but then your personalized learning path is helping me, because I'm on 2nd, 3rd grade level, quickly navigate to hopefully getting closer to being on grade level, and then you, who's a 6th grader, who might be reading on 7th or 8th grade level, expanding to make sure that you're exceeding your growth goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Just want to make sure I'm clear. What it sounds like to me is the iReady is almost a tool that can be used to get students prepared for the MVPA, because you don't know where you don't know what skill level they are on until you do the iReady information to build those skills up, and you get the path to get you where you need to be. But you're saying that whatever's produced out of iReady, whatever the plan is, can tell me this student will score 4 or 5. That's more so MVPA.
No, iReady will do the same
iReady
thing.
can do the same thing?
iReady
Okay.
provides a predictive score as well.
Okay. All right.
It does.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? All righty. Thank you, Dr. Hill, and board members for their report. I now turn to Dr. Hill for the 2025-26 superintendent budget recommendation.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to our Board of Education for their dedication and hard work, not only on a daily basis, but especially in your thoughtful engagement throughout this budget process. And I recognize the effort that has gone into making decisions that are in the best interest of our students and the future of our district that our staff has taken. As I've committed to you, my focus remains on staying true to what I was hired to do. This budget, while tight, has been shaped with a clear focus on the priorities we've collectively set for the district. The Board of Education has done an excellent job in clearly defining those priorities, and we've worked hard to align this budget with them. I'd like to thank all of our staff, but specifically our Chief Financial Officer, Kelly Klutz, and also our cabinet members who have worked as one team to make the tough decisions necessary to get to the solid budget recommendation that we're sharing with you today. We have captured the board's priorities, which is the what, and the staff strategies, which is the how, through what we call the CMS way. This approach has guided us particularly during this budget cycle to ensure that all decisions are aligned with our district's mission, vision, core beliefs, goals, and guardrails. Our process for developing this budget was as follows. Number 1, review the strategic plan for alignment. We started by ensuring that every decision was aligned to the CMS way as outlined in our strategic plan. This strategic plan serves as our roadmap. Number 2, identify needs. We carefully assess the most pressing needs across the district, ensuring that all necessary resources were considered to support our educational priorities. Number 3, identify trade-offs or budget cuts. As with any budget process, we had to make difficult decisions. We identified areas where cuts or trade-offs would need to be made, always keeping the board's priorities at the forefront. And finally, we identified risk. We took the time to assess the risk associated with each decision, ensuring that the potential impacts on our students and staff were fully considered. The budget was developed not by focusing on silos or isolated or individual needs, but the understanding that we are all working towards the same goal. We kept the priorities set by the Board of Education as the central guiding force behind all of our decisions. While this budget is certainly tight, I believe this recommendation reflects a balanced approach. It prioritizes the board's goals, preserves the student experience, and ensures fiscal responsibility. At the same time, we've made sure to maximize available resources, including time, money, and human capital, to support the continued success of our district. Once again, thank you for your continued leadership and collaboration, and I now turn to Chief Financial Officer Kelly Klutz to share the budget recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. To begin today's discussion, we'd like to look at the 2025-26 budget highlights, which provide an overview of key points that shape the budget this year. The budget is designed to align with the board's student outcome focused goals and is the first budget since fiscal year 1920 without federal ESSER funding. Despite this transition, we've maintained a minimal increase in our total operating budget with a growth of less than 1% year over year. Additionally, the budget continues our commitment to student access to technology by funding year 2 of a 4-year sustainability plan at $2 million for student devices, ensuring equitable access and academic success. Continuing with our 25-26 budget highlights, this section focuses on the two key areas, retention and recruitment, as well as capital outlay. For retention and recruitment, the budget includes an assumed 3% state pay increase for all staff and an average 5% certified supplement increase, and the implementation of Phase 2 of the market-aligned salary schedules for classified staff. These efforts reflect our ongoing commitment to investing in our employees and ensuring competitive compensation to attract and retain top talent. On the capital outlay side, the budget prioritizes investments in safety, security, roofing, and HVAC upgrades to mitigate operational risk and maintain safe learning environments. These investments address critical infrastructure needs that directly support students and staff's well-being. Now I'll turn it over to Chief Thompson to discuss resourcing goal targets.
Good evening. I'm going to share with you information about anticipated goal-aligned inputs and investments in the 25-26 annual plan specific to resourcing our 25-26 goal targets. The 25-29 5-year goals are shown here and guardrails shown here. The 25-29 strategic plan outlines how we will consistently and with enough effort meet or even exceed the ambitious goals that lie before us. The information I'm sharing this evening reflects work done and continuing to be done by divisional chiefs, department leaders, and support staff. And we're using our theory of change to prepare the 25-26 annual plan specific to goals 1, 2, and 3. We know it is critical that we resource each of these inputs on the theory of change next year relative to the needed rates of improvement for goal attainment. We've worked with districts engaging in student outcomes-focused governance around this body of work specifically, ensuring goals are prioritized to be resourced or invested in to achieve rates of needed improvement. I'm going to walk you through the result of our work and our current planning relative to the 25-26 key levers for each of these inputs and planned investments. High-quality specialists are essential to providing training and development to high-quality literacy and math school-based master teachers and classroom teachers. The total anticipated investment for the 25-26 school year is $9.6 million. This is based on an average specialist salary with benefits. These positions support goals 1, 2, and 3 and guardrail 1. High-quality literacy and math master teachers are essential to providing job-embedded training and development to high-quality literacy and math classroom teachers. Sometimes school leaders exchange these positions for multi-classroom leaders, sometimes called MCLs, using available funds. Information about those options for school principals is included in the footnote on this slide. But whether the position is a master teacher or a multi-classroom leader, the core function is the same, providing job-embedded training and development to our classroom teachers. The total anticipated investment for the 25-26 school year is $26.8 million. This is based on an average master teacher salary with benefits. These positions support goals 1, 2, and 3 and guardrail 1. Now we'll look at high-quality teacher professional development. This includes instructional professional development for teachers outside of what is in scope for a school-based master teacher. The anticipated input for the 25-26 school year is continued implementation of our teacher instructional onboarding initiative called Crown Academy, including a district-wide professional development dashboard. The total anticipated investment for the 25-26 school year is $2.3 million. This investment supports goals 1, 2, and 3, and guardrails 1 and 4. We know we need to ensure there's a high-quality classroom teacher in every classroom to achieve our annual targets. Sometimes school leaders exchange classroom teacher positions for extended impact teacher positions using available funds. Information about those options for school principals is included in the footnote on this slide. But whether the position is a classroom teacher or an expanded impact teacher, the core function is the same, providing high-quality instruction to students. New this year is a goal-aligned financial consideration specific to Goal 3, a high school Math 1 teacher recruitment and performance bonus. This is a new investment for the 25-26 school year. The anticipated goal-aligned investments to ensure high-quality teachers in the 25-26 school year is $331.6 million. Next is high-quality core instruction. Anticipated inputs for the 25-26 school year include ongoing costs to provide curricular resources for teachers and students, refreshed student devices in grades 6 and 9 to access curricular resources as well as extended learning opportunities, extended learning opportunities such as iReady, extended learning programming, summer learning programming, and credit recovery, and high-dosage tutoring, a new investment for the 25-26 school year. The total anticipated investment for these inputs for the 25-26 school year is $34.7 million. These inputs support goals 1, 2, and 3, and guardrail 1. Next, we have student engagement. These inputs and investments support goals 1, 2, and 3, as well as guardrails 1, 2, and 3. Inputs include a continuation of a multi-year implementation of a district-wide framework to ensure our school environments foster student well-being, counselors, social workers, and psychologists who provide core, supplemental, and intensive services within school buildings to support student success at school, and school-based safety and security staff, such as behavior modification technicians and campus security associates who provide supports in our schools, ensuring safe school environments. The total anticipated investments for these inputs for the 25-26 school year is $109.3 million. And finally, we have family engagement, ensuring family understanding of student progress and how to use available resources to extend learning within and outside of the school day is essential to student success. A continued key input for the 25-26 school year is Family Academy, with a total anticipated investment of $1.4 million. This investment is aligned to goals 1, 2, and 3, and guardrail 1. In conclusion, we have the key inputs that are absolutely essential to achieve our goals. Each of these inputs needs to be in place. We cannot forsake any of them. We've identified significant key levers to be prioritized for the 25-26 school year. I've shared those with you this evening. We have anticipated investments associated with each of these key levers. We also have to invest in what's needed to run our broader organization, and we will do that while keeping our focus and priority on student outcomes. Given our finite resources, you should have confidence that the key levers and associated investments shared with you this evening, investments centered on elevating teachers as the people who directly impact student learning on a daily basis, when partnered with current and anticipated external grant funding and partnership opportunities, are indeed prioritized to achieve the 25-26 goal targets. I'll now turn it back over to Chief Klutz.
All right. Thank you, Chief Thompson. Let's take a look at the superintendent's budget recommendation for fiscal year 25-26. As a part of our budget development process, we engaged in over 935 individuals to gather input and insights. This collaborative approach ensures our budget reflects the priorities and the needs of our community. These conversations allowed us to hear a wide range of perspectives, aligning our budget with the diverse needs of our students, families, staff, and community. There will be 2 additional opportunities for engagement next week on Tuesday, 1 virtual session and 1 in-person session. Stakeholders emphasized the need for salary increases, better pay, improved supplements, especially for veteran and experienced staff. There were strong concerns about retaining experienced employees and improving efforts to recruit new staff. Now we'll discuss our operating budget, which outlines the resources needed to support day-to-day operations across our schools and district. The proposed operating budget for fiscal year 25-26 is $1.95 billion, designated to support the needs of 141,726 students. The largest portion of our funding comes from the state at 59.4%. Local funding contributes 34.2%, reflecting the vital support that we receive from Mecklenburg County. Federal funds make up 6%, while special and other revenue accounts for 0.5%. The majority of our budget is allocated to salaries and benefits, representing 77.7% of total spending, which underscores our investment in people, from teachers to support staff. Purchase services account for 11.1%, covering essential contract services that support school operations, specifically in our transportation and building services area. Supplies and materials make up 5.5%, ensuring classrooms, offices, and facilities have necessary resources. Lastly, our charter school payments account for 4.2%, reflecting the funds that follow students who attend public charter schools. We have built this budget on assumptions as we await the final decisions of the 25-26 state budget. Currently, there is no confirmed information regarding salary increases that may be included. To ensure responsible financial planning, CMS is budgeting with an assumed 3% salary increase, based on the average of state salary increases over the past 5 years. This is strictly a placeholder assumption, and the actual increase will depend on the finalized state budget. For our certified staff, there are several proposals under consideration at the state level that could significantly impact teacher compensation. House Bill 192 proposes an average salary increase of 22% over 2 years, which would represent a significant investment in teacher pay if passed. Additionally, Governor Stein's budget includes a requested average salary increase of 10.6% over the biennium. Both proposals also include raising this starting teacher salary to $50,000, which would enhance our ability to recruit and retain highly qualified educators. These proposals also restore master pay that was eliminated in 2013. While these proposals are encouraging, it is important to remember that they are not finalized yet. CMS will adjust its budget accordingly once the official decisions are made. Now we'll take a closer look at the county portion of our operating budget, which plays a crucial role in supporting our students and our schools by funding essential programs and services that are not fully covered by the state or federal dollars. Our annual plan identifies paying, training, and retaining our teachers better. Our list of currently identified needs reflects that. The needs include advocating for state-driven salary and benefit adjustments, advocating for increased certified supplements, and funding to support the recommendations of Phase 2 classified compensation study. In addition to salary and benefits, we are also planning for a $2 million investment in student devices. The investment represents the second year of a 4-year plan designed to ensure that every student has access to a device to support their learning. Our starting point for the county budget is $639.3 million, with a proposed increase of $28.2 million to address key priorities and needs. This brings the total proposed county budget to $667.5 million. This increase reflects our ongoing commitment to supporting staff and enhancing student outcomes. Included in the budget recommendation are the items listed above. These are not items that we would request from the county, but they are being funded through central office reductions or cuts that have been identified within non-personnel budgets like contract services, equipment, and depending on the department, as well as eliminating select vacant positions. To be clear, we're going to stop spending money on select central office expenses, and we're going to start spending money on the items that are listed here. While these reductions are difficult, they are necessary in order to prioritize our commitment to retaining and recruiting high-quality staff. The identified central office cuts that are funding these reoccurring items do not include any cost or reduction at the school level. While many districts in the state have been forced to cut the school level funding, CMS is committed to protecting the student experience. All right, now let's talk a little bit about our capital outlay portion of the budget, which focuses on funding critical facility needs. Our normal capital outlay allocation is approximately $22.9 million, and this year we are requesting an additional $10 million to address pressing facility needs. This brings our total capital outlay request to $32.9 million. The additional funds are intended to address key priorities we heard during our engagement sessions, including improvements to safety and security, roofing, and HVAC systems. This request reflects our commitment to maintaining safe, secure, and well-maintained learning environments for our students and our staff. Now let's take a look at our enterprise fund budgets, which include self-sustaining programs such as our school nutrition program and our after-school enrichment program. These funds operate independently, generating revenue to cover their expenses while providing essential services to our students and families. Our enterprise funds reflect a continued focus on affordability and quality. In the school nutrition program, there will be no increase in student meal prices this year, making the 6th consecutive year without a price increase. This demonstrates our commitment to keeping meals accessible for families. In the after-school enrichment program, there will be a modest increase in fees to support program sustainability and maintain quality service. While we are mindful of the cost, our goal is to remains to provide valuable programs that meet the needs of our students and families. The program has expanded in enrollment 12.4% over the last 2 years. Leadership of the program is excited for the potential growth in 25-26, citing the board's decision to increase the minimum hourly rate to $20 an hour, indicating that it's a key lever for future growth of the program. To wrap it all up, we'll take a look at our total budget, which combines our operating budget, our capital budget, and our enterprise funds. Our total recommended budget for the upcoming year is $2.09 billion, which includes funding from multiple sources. The total operating budget of $1.95 billion, with contributions from the state of North Carolina at $1.08 billion, Mecklenburg County at $667.5 million, federal grants at $117.3 million, and other and special revenue at $74.7 million. For capital funding, we have a total of $32.9 million, which includes our standard $22.9 million in appropriation, along with a $10 million one-time funding request to address key priorities such as safety, security, roofing, and HVAC upgrades. Our enterprise funds total $106.7 million, including $95.4 million for school nutrition and $11.3 million for our after-school programs. The digital budget book is available electronically and provides a comprehensive details of our financial plans, our priorities, and our funding allocations. The resource is designed to offer transparency and help stakeholders better understand how resources are being utilized to support our schools, staff, and students. For easy access, a link and a QR code has been provided, as well as it will be on our website. The 25-26 budget timeline includes several key dates for engagement and decision-making. On April the 2nd, there will be 2 opportunities for community engagement, a virtual community engagement session at 1 p.m. and an in-person community engagement session at 6 p.m. at J.M. Alexander Middle School. The sessions provide valuable opportunities for stakeholders to offer feedback and ask questions about the budget. On April the 8th, the Board of Education public hearing will take place, allowing community members to share their thoughts and concerns directly with the board regarding the superintendent's budget recommendation. Finally, on April the 22nd, the Board of Education will vote on the superintendent's budget recommendation.
Thank you, Chief Klutz and Chief Thompson. We've made significant strides in delivering on our commitments, and the results speak for themselves. Our strategies are working. The resourcing decisions made this year have had a positive impact, and this proposed budget ensures that momentum continues. Even in the face of challenges like a 2.8% increase in the Consumer Price Index and the loss of ESSER funding, we've been able to keep this operating budget increase to under 1%. This is a testament to our ability to maximize resources and make responsible financial decisions. It also reflects our awareness of the anticipated revenue shortfalls and our commitment to managing them effectively. At the core of this budget is a recognition of what truly matters, our teachers. They are the most impactful factor in student achievement, and that's why we've made it a priority to offer competitive salaries that will help attract and retrain top talent. Additionally, this budget is directly aligned with the board's student outcomes-focused goals, ensuring that every resource is dedicated to achieving the best possible results for our students. In closing, this budget is more than just a financial plan. It's a reflection of our ongoing commitment to excellence in education. Thank you for your support as we continue to make progress, prioritize what matters most, and work together to shape a successful future for our students. And I'll turn to Madam Chair to facilitate any questions the board may have.
Thank you for that presentation. Board members will follow our normal cadence with questions. Vice Chair Rankin?
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Klutz, for this presentation. I have a couple of questions when it comes to salaries. Regardless, is there, looking at this budget, not knowing what may come from the federal level, can we confidently say that there's either a plan or that our educators can be assured that we will not be losing any positions when it comes to teachers or in those individuals in those particular roles, regardless of what happens?
So I can't give you assurance that that won't happen, but I can tell you some things that we've done proactively to ensure that that's the last resort. So we have managed to only allocate a portion of our federal programs to our schools that cover the personnel cost only. So that's 65% of those budgets. So we would hope for a flat funding or an increased funding, but if we were to receive a decrease of 35%, we could feel fairly confident that we would not have to do a reduction in force because we've built that in. We've also, as you know, with enrollment, so schools are funded at the state level based on enrollment, and enrollments fluctuate. And so we're never really 100% sure of how our enrollment's going to be until August or September. So we do have some positions that we're holding back for those fluctuations and for potential cuts that might happen. So those positions were vacant, and so no one lost a position, and we want to make sure that we don't fill those positions in case there are cuts that we have to make once we have more solid information.
Can I do a follow-up?
Yes.
in this budget, do we have any positions that may see a decrease in salaries? Like, say, for example, specialists or any of those individuals, will there be any decreases in any salaries?
We're not anticipating anything of that nature, so we are advocating for increases for all of our staff with the classified compensation study as well as the state increases. We would be anticipating only increases.
Thank you.
Board membership?
Yes, I'm on the same line with kind of Board Vice Chair Rankin. And I want to thank you for this because it is all about people excellence. If we don't have the people, there's going to be challenges everywhere. So you mentioned central office positions. Are those vacancies when you said something about, am I understanding cuts there?
Yes, ma'am, those are vacant. So we did not do a reduction in force at all. We either took vacant central office positions or non-personnel budgets. So non-personnel budgets would be things like contracted services or equipment or supplies, that type thing. But we did not reduce any positions that a person held.
Thank you. And then I kind of follow up with that. But it's kind of we're advocating for at the state level what we hope we're going to get. And I'm excited about that. And I hope we do get this funded for teachers, especially. When we look at student devices, I think you mentioned that along with that. Are we not getting some funding here already, had I heard, for student devices? Has that been passed?
So in our current year budget, 24-25, last year this time, we asked the county to help support with a $4 million request for student devices. We need 4 times that. We need 4 years of $4 million. So we did secure the $4 million last year this time for this current budget year. And so we have 3 more years that we need to secure. And so we're working on that second year this year. Once we complete this year, we will still have at least 2 more years to be able to complete that plan that will ensure that every student has a device, and we replenish that device every 4 years.
Where else for student devices?
I didn't hear what she said.
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
I said we're not getting any funding from anywhere else, like at the state level for student devices.
So there is some consideration at the state level. All LEAs or school districts are in the same position as we are. So most districts use COVID or ESSER dollars to fund their devices when we went remote and one-to-one. And so now we're 4 years later and districts do not have a fund to replenish those devices. All of our devices statewide are old and need to be replaced. So we're all asking for the same thing. We have the same problem. So the state is looking to see if there are options, but we don't have any confirmation on that. Obviously, the state budget has not passed yet, and it'll be some time before it does. If there were funding allocated in the state budget, it would just move us up in our plan a little quicker. So maybe instead of 4 years, maybe it'll take us 3 years instead of the longer, which would be a positive for us.
Thank you so much.
Board Member Klein.
Thank you. Couple of questions. First of all, you had mentioned the 65%, and I remember you'd mentioned in previous board meetings that that's Title I. So I think it's great that you've only been using 65%, but that funding is strictly for Title I schools, correct? So what happens at other schools where there could be a budget shortfall for teachers?
So the federal funds that we're most concerned about right now are Title I, II, and III. Title I is the largest and goes a significant portion of that goes directly to the schools. So we've addressed that one. Title II is smaller in the budget. It's approximately $4 to $5 million, and so that is something that we will have to address, as well as Title III, which is ML, multilingual learners, as well as professional development. Some of those things would not be good to have to stop doing, but they're not attached to people. Some are.
Okay. Then, when you were talking in the budget about specialists, where are these specialists housed? I mean, I see in the small print who they are, but how many of them is the 9.6 million going to pay for?
Those specialists are listed in the footnote of the slide. They live in 3 different divisions primarily. Most of those positions live in the Division of Academics under Dr. Melissa Balknight. 6 specialist positions live within the Division of Strategy and Innovation under my leadership. And then the other specialist positions are in the Talent, Retention, and Recruitment Division with Nancy Brightwell. And so they live across there. All 3 divisions are working closely together right at this moment in time to look really hard at what the skills and competencies needed for all of those specialists across all 3 divisions. Said differently, a specialist within strategy and innovation should have same expectations in terms of what they know and are able to do to support schools as a specialist who's in the academics division or in the talent recruitment and retention, talent development division.
Okay. All right. Board Member Easley. I got you.
Hi. Thank you for that presentation. I appreciate it. I made the comment at the last meeting when this was brought up, and I'm going to make it again. The high school math 1 bonuses is not something that I can support. It is pitting teachers against one another. It is only going to help 32 teachers. And I'm very concerned that that is still in the budget. And I know that you brought this to STAC, and I'm wondering, what was STAC's response to that bonus? Were they in support of it, or what was going on with that?
There were a few folks in STAC who expressed concern related to the bonus, just in terms of either the amount for the bonus or in terms of whether it would produce the intended a return on investment that was equal to what was being able to be provided. There's also one STAC member, I think, who lifted that, this idea that for a teacher who maybe is an elective teacher, who's not in a content area that's goal aligned, that there is a portion of this that feels unfair to them. And I think the specific example that they cited was that, I might go in, even though I'm an art teacher or a PE teacher, I might support small groups of students and instruction. And my principal's asking me to do that, and that's in support of the broader work of the school, but I don't feel like that's valued as much if some people are getting bonuses and other people are not getting bonuses.
Chief Thompson, in response to that, can you share information about the current state bonus structure in terms of what teachers currently receive a state bonus based on EVOS growth?
Yes. So it's admittedly a little bit convoluted to try to explain, but I would say at a very high level, there are current state bonuses that are designated for specific teachers. Those teachers largely fall between grades third grade and 8th grade. Some are for math specifically, some are for reading specifically, and they vary in amount. One of them that stands out would be the bonus that is for 3rd grade teachers who teach reading. And there is a pot of money at the state level, and it is divided equally among teachers who meet a certain threshold of exceeding growth related to the performance. So it's not a specific amount every year. It's basically, here's an amount of money, and we're going to divide it up. And so to your point, Dr. Hill, this bonus is not altogether different than the way that the state strategy for providing bonuses, in that it is focused on math and reading and has varying ways of compensating folks for what they receive.
Thank you, Chief Thompson, and I just want to follow up that this strategy was actually birthed out of conversation from this board in regards to your goals. So if you recall at your retreat back in January and then the subsequent work session, there was discussion, and this discussion was specifically around the supplement. When we were talking about the supplement, and if you'll recall, we talked about options. Could we give the supplement that we were proposing, could that potentially be flat? Would we want to focus more on teachers early in their career or later in their career? And then would we want to use that supplement to address the board's goals, right? 1, 2, 3, or 4. And so where we rounded out in that discussion is that the supplement was a supplement towards their total salary. And so we weren't going to utilize those funds, that those should be distributed in a way that was consistent with the board's wishes as well as stakeholder feedback. But there was conversation about the need to perhaps come up with an option to compensate teachers as it relates to the board's goals. So I just want to be clear that after that conversation, the team went, after the feedback that we received from the board, the team went back and developed a plan, like what resources do we have at our disposal? We have $0.7 million, which when you take a look at it is really not that much money, but how can we use that money to really focus on a goal that, quite frankly, was a goal of the previous board? We didn't make a lot of movement in the current goal, that we really could have the opportunity to make sure that we're both impacting the board's goal 3, but then also have a strategy in place for the board's guardrail 4, which is ensuring that the very best teachers are providing support to those students that need it the most. So I just want to be clear that this bonus is in direct response to feedback that we received from board members.
Okay, can I follow up, please?
Yes, go ahead.
So that conversation that we had was about all teachers and all students and all things. And that's where I'm very struggling with this, is that this is going to help 32 teachers. So are you trying to imply to me that only 32 teachers in Math 1 are impacting our students? Or do we believe, which I do, that every educator in that building has an impact on the student learning and an impact on our goals? I can tell you, as a science teacher for almost 15 years in this district, I have just as much input in my students' reading and math in my science classes as a art teacher, as a social studies teacher, as all of these things. And many of our units were cross-looked at. So to only reward 32 teachers, which is what this would cover, to me seems a slap in the face to everybody else. So if we want to reward our teachers, I am all down for that, 100%, but we can't just take a fraction of the piece. And to me, back to your comment about the state, this is the way the state does it. The state is incorrect, and I feel the way it does it as well. And they are pitting teachers against each other. That's what created this culture in the beginning. And the fact that we're continuing to feed into it concerns me greatly.
Thank you for your feedback. I will point out that $0.7 million spread out across roughly 9,000 teachers amounts to $83 a year.
I agree. That's my point, is that
And we
this isn't
cannot,
enough.
and we cannot use Title I dollars.
Or that we should just be helping 32 teachers in one specific subject.
Well, Ms. Easley, I just want to remind you that we cannot use Title I dollars in schools that are not designated as Title I specifically for this bonus. So because we are using Title I dollars, the bonus would be limited anyway. The purpose of federal funds is to supplement and not supplant. So the very nature of federal funds, we could not use this pot of money to provide a bonus to all. And again, this was in response to board feedback. The other thing that I want to point out to Ms. Easley and to the board, that you will not actually be voting on this particular bonus as a part of this budget. We'll be asking you to take that vote when you approve our federal programs that will be coming, I believe, in April. So
Thank you for that
There'll
clarification.
be opportunities to delve a little bit deeper into that conversation at that time.
Board Member Nunn.
Yeah. I know we've gotten a lot of community feedback. I think a lot of what we're starting to hear too from constituents and frankly staff is reduction in positions, larger classrooms, which I think makes teacher pay even more important now. You guys didn't have in this presentation, but where are we with starting an average in comparison to all our surrounding neighbors, all the counties, South Carolina? South Carolina just passed $50,000 as a starting teacher pay. North Carolina is not there. We can hope all we want at the state. We'll see what actually happens. I think 8 is the highest actually on the floor of the General Assembly, 3 as well, depending on which side you're looking at. So I just want to level set. I know we've got all this scaffolding, which I think is great, because when you have to do more with less, you do those things. But where are we with starting an average teacher pay, considering we're expecting 3% from the state and asking the county for a 5% increase in supplement?
So when we look at, we usually look at it two different ways. One, we'll look at a beginning teacher salary, and then we'll also look at an average teacher salary. And I'm going back to the documents from the 311 presentation for reference. On our give me 1 second. On our average supplement, our teacher salary and supplement, we are lower than Wake. We are lower than Cabarrus, lower than Union, lower than New Hanover, lower than Chapel Hill, and it looks to be about the same as Scotland as far as average pay in those districts. Did I answer?
Yeah, I guess my comment to you guys is, I know we're in a constrained environment, but it's our goal to ask our local county partners for what we need. And personally, I have a hard time being a representative here to ask our teachers to live in this county, and we're the same as all the surrounding. You know, so I think maybe instead of these bonuses, which I get, your guys are trying to innovate with less is more, could we actually come up with some type of pilot programs where we look to expand teacher pay or think about the school system differently and potentially ask the county to fund these tests versus just trying to figure out tiny bonus pilots? I think we're in a constrained environment. I get that, but how do we innovate? How do we work with our county partners who are, I know they're asking us the questions. I'm getting the questions from them. But I think that's what I'm looking for, because like just being the same just isn't okay. We're putting more and more on these teachers every day, and I know we're trying to prioritize it, but when it stays the same, like the reality is they're getting paid the same and doing more. So.
Well, I just want to make sure that Ms. Nunn heard the correct information. So I think the information that you shared, Ms. Klutz, was average teacher salary. I think perhaps what she's referencing is the information that we shared at the last board meeting, which was the line graph that shows the total teacher salary with the inclusion of our budget. With the inclusion of our local supplement. So as a reminder, our local supplement is in the top 3 in the state. So currently, we're second in the state in terms of our local supplement. So trying to pull up right now the last board meeting.
I have it, that's correct. So that chart measures at points 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years in comparison, not necessarily the average. But Dr. Hill's correct, is we are trending as second in the state as far as our total salary and total supplement together. So we are higher than Wake currently is. We are competitive with Chapel Hill until you get to about year 15, and then Chapel Hill increases their supplement, and we're not as competitive at that point. I will bring out that We were just reading the article on Wake County school system's budget, and they're having to cut. They're asking for 40 million from their county, and they're having to cut 20 million out of their operating budget. So districts are struggling, and from what I'm hearing from my counterparts, my CFO counterparts, is that a lot of counties are unable to help school districts this year at all. So we are feeling a little bit fortunate that our county is able to help us as much as they are this year. It is a tight year. It's a difficult year.
I think a follow-up to that, Wake's school system is in much better shape, so their operating budget, they have been building schools at a quicker rate than Mecklenburg. So I'm not, they can afford to cut more there. I think if they're asking for 40 million more, I get we've been in the top 3, just to level set, we get less from the state. We're all aware. There's 4 of us, including Wake, including ourselves, Guilford, and who's the 4th? Anyway, those are the top 3 because they don't get the state. So we're bragging about being in the top 3 because we have to be in order to get our teachers to even a livable wage. What I'm asking for is, can we go ask, can we work with our county to say, if we're truly committed, can we figure out more for our teachers? That's all I'm asking, because our ability to pay, if you look at that calculation, which is public data, 2, is we rank fairly low when it comes to counties because other counties are spending a larger percent of their budget on K through 12. So that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Board Member Klein.
Took you a minute.
Yeah.
It's okay. Looking at the high-quality core instruction, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. You have a new investment of $1 million for high-dosage tutoring. Tell me what that is going to entail. Is it people? Is it a program? What are you asking for with $1 million?
So in our Family Engagement and Partnerships Division, led by Dr. Medlock, there will be an emphasis, to my understanding, on kindergarten, first and second grade literacy, and the ability for us to be able to provide at a broader scale tutoring that is needed for students in that specific area. There's been a lot of work done in that division and then with our broader community and our community partners around what the need is across our schools and then where we are currently in being able to meet that need. In other words, how many kids could benefit from tutoring, where are those students in school, and then how many tutors do we actually have at this time? And so the work that's happening within that division is looking at how we can better meet that need with tutoring and look at models that can help to potentially innovate and scale around how we could better provide for students. And it's built toward this idea of closing the gap as early as we can with our kindergarten students, specifically when they enter school in the area of reading.
That didn't answer my question.
Could you repeat your question then? I'm sorry.
Tell me what program, or are you buying people? Or are you buying a program for $1 million?
I do not know the answer to that question. I can find out for you.
Okay. That's real bottom line. Thank you.
Vice Chair Rankin.
I want to kind of talk through what Board Member Nunn was talking about. And I think my thought process, I think we're all in agreement that we want to pay our teachers more, right? And that's the goal. And I'm thinking, I think my perspective is a little bit different to where I appreciate that the county's funding this supplement to put us where we are. And I think that when you start talking about us being the 4 counties that's not receiving the state supplement, I would really like to focus the area there because imagine what we could pay our teachers if we did receive the state supplement, or because the counties, pretty much making up what, is it Anson or this one that's right by us, or is it,
Caston.
it's one that majority of them, where is,
Robeson.
which one is it?
Robeson.
Is it Robeson? The majority of their supplement is coming from the state, and that makes them competitive. But our county is doing that. Imagine if the state would do that. So I would hope that we could put, if we're going to put pressure on the county, which
Yeah, it's in our legislative
I would
agenda.
want to, yeah, I want to
Sorry.
put pressure.
Scotland.
Scotland, thank you. I would like to put pressure on the state to kind of talk through, how is that fair? I mean, I don't think that's fair to pick it, to
It's not.
only 4 counties that you're not paying the state supplement to. I don't think that's right. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you. So,
I apologize. I wanted to follow up on Ms. Klein's question about the $1 million. Again, the way that we've structured this budget presentation is for you all to see the key levers and the investment dollar amount. So that $1 million is federal funding, and so you will receive additional information when we provide you with our federal programs budget.
I think that is the end of the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item I turn to is modifications of policies policy S-SCOM, school-related complaints, and retire P-APLP, appeals from decision of school personnel to Board of Education. Vice Chair D. Rankin is the chair of the policy committee to make this motion, reported out of, to make this motion. It's reported out of committee and therefore does not require a second.
This is S-COM, right?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed modifications of policy S-SCOM, school board complaints and proposed retirement of P-APLP, appeals from decisions in school personnel to Board of Education. The proposed modifications direct the superintendent to establish a regulation for formal resolution of school-related complaints, delineate school-related matters that require statutorily prescribed resolution/appeal procedures, set forth the procedures for discretionary board hearings, and render policy P-APLP mute. Madam Chair, I further move to retire policy P-APLP. The policy committee considered this request at our March 12th, 2025 meeting and unanimously recommended the proposed changes for approval by the full board via a fast-tracked timeframe.
Mr. Rankin,
Go ahead, yeah.
all right. Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor by show of hands? Is she on there?
No.
All right.
Yeah, she's on there.
she is?
She is raising her hand.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk is unanimous. Oh,
I know.
so we're gonna put a pin in that. It's Madam Clerk is unanimous. I turn to Dr. Hill for a superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to recognize the more than 400 Charlotte-Mecklenburg school students that recently participated in the ACE Mentor Trades Day at Central Piedmont Community College, Harper campus, which showcased careers in plumbing, HVAC, and electrical work through live demonstrations and interactive activities. Local vendors introduce high school students to various construction trades during the event and educate them about the immediate skilled trade job opportunities, internships, and their benefits. Thank you to all of our vendors who participated and gave our students this unique experience. Our 6th and 7th grade students from the Charlotte East Language Academy got to meet with the NASA aerospace engineer, experience a computer simulation of a space shuttle takeoff, and take part in other hands-on activities during a recent visit to Kennedy Space Center. The trip was the capstone of a unit studying Margot Lee Shetterly, one of the hidden figures who contributed significantly to the U.S. aerospace program in the 1960s. For People Excellence, congratulations to our more than 200 CMS educators who achieved or renewed their National Board certification this school year. They were honored at a special ceremony earlier this month. The National Board certification is the most respected professional certification available in K-12 education. Educators must be able to display a deep understanding of their students' content, data, and assessments. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools ranks third among the nation's school districts and second in North Carolina, with more than 1,400 active National Board certified educators. To date, more than 2,400 CMS educators have achieved this certification. Congratulations to West Charlotte High School's Marching Lions, who have been invited to perform during the Love and Life Music Fest later this spring. The band also received $10,000 in donations from the festival to purchase new instruments and equipment for students. For our operations pillar, we'd like for you to join us for an update about our Marie G. Davis Montessori project on March 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. at J.T. Williams Secondary Montessori School. I'd like to say a very special thank you to our local law enforcement. I've recently had the opportunity to connect with Chief Jennings with CMPD, Chief Buncombe from Cornelius, Chief Davidson from the town of Davidson, Chief Graham from Huntersville, Deputy Chief Vaught from Huntersville, Chief Dunn from Matthews, Chief Hatley from the town of Mint Hill, Chief Hudgens from Pineville, and also Sheriff McFadden. I'd like to thank all of our local law enforcement agencies for their support of our students, families, and communities. They do an excellent job partnering with the school district, so thank you for your work. I'd like to thank all of our 38 partners for their participation in the Career and Technical Education Futures Fair that occurred earlier this month. Thank you to Chair Sneed and Vice Chair Rankin for your participation. This fair was an opportunity for high school seniors to learn about careers from business leaders eager to add to their workforce. Over 300 students attended the event and learned about career options, apprenticeships, and training programs. You can check out the highlight story and video on our website under Engagement Excellence. Thank you so much for your attention, and this concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. I turn to Vice Chair D. Rankin for recommend approval to amend the Sid Kimmel Educational Consulting Contract.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the amendment to the Sid Kimmel Educational Consulting Contract.
I second that motion.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, I'll yield my time at this time to Boardman Recline or anyone, I guess Boardman Easy Leadership or none who supported to move this. So I'll yield my time to discuss.
My questions were answered through email. Thank you.
There being no discussion.
Hey, I do.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
That's okay. So I'm going to be very clear and very blunt in this. We did get questions, answered questions, but I still stand in opposition to approval of this contract with nearly $500,000. During today's SOFG presentation, we were told that a variety of resources have already been created to support our master teachers in implementing benchmark responses. That we've put a lot. Slide 36 was represented specifically from board or vice chair members. Vice Chair D. Rankin's question. So my question is, if we've already invested this time and energy into developing these materials, why are we continuing consulting with a firm to train our teachers? The justification that I've been given was that this helps with middle school and SEL lessons. However, in almost 15 years of experience at CMS, all of which in middle schools, 10 of which in middle schools, I can confidently say that I have never encountered this firm or have seen this results in our classroom, and I've been in there since 2011. Where is the evidence that this directly impacts our student outcomes? Furthermore, the significant sum of this can be better utilized in ways that would provide tangible and immediate benefits to our students. If this was meant for SEL, then our schools desperately need more social workers, counselors, and psychologists who are specifically trained in addressing students' health mental needs and delivering effective SEL lessons. We've been doing that for years. Investing in these resources would not only support our students' well-being, but could contribute to more of a positive learning environment. I urge my fellow board members to reconsider this contract, and let's prioritize the spending that directly affects our students and support our staff that are already tirelessly working in schools. Thank you.
Go ahead. Vice Chair Rankin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to be clear. This is an amendment. This contract isn't for $500,000. This is an amendment for an increase of $175,000. Just want to make sure that's what we're talking about. Make sure we're all on the same page. And I understand what you're saying, Board Member Easley, but I think that I believe in what's the SOFG model, and what that means is it's our job to govern. And when I think sometimes what happens is, as board members, we're so passionate, we begin to sometimes dig into operations, and sometimes with that which is not our role. Our role is to govern, and then once we govern, we then hold our superintendent and then their staff accountable to the individual results that we're expecting. So I think that what happens is, if this is a need that the district feels that needs to be done, then I support that. And I think sometimes what happens is, when we're governing, we still have to be fiscally responsible, but sometimes we say we're trying to be efficient, but when what we're doing is we're digging into operations, and that's hopefully that's a culture we can start holding ourselves accountable to, so we can be a more effective board and govern accordingly, so we can create an environment that is welcoming and successful for our students and our families. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Any other comment? We'll have a final comment, I think, for the conclusion of this. I think that it is important for us.
Nora has one.
Chair Sneed, Ms. Shipp has one.
Okay. Well, I'll come back to her.
Okay.
I think it is important for us to be fiscally responsible, but it's also our responsibility to listen to what staff needs. They are better suited to make the determinations on what is needed to achieve our goals. They have direct knowledge of what will make for successful students, successful administrators, successful teachers. So the information that has been communicated to us has been specific, it has been exhausting, and it has been detailed. So the information that has been provided is sufficient for me enough to make a decision today, and that, I hope that, as we move forward and we make sure that we are equitable in our evaluation of what comes before us. Board membership.
Yes, I wanted to say that I have asked questions and had those answers and been in discussion. And I feel like I've done due diligence to this. And as Board Vice Chair Rankin said, this is now an amendment. The $325,000 is there. And so here, and I've heard some things even tonight that Dr. Hill said about the work. This actually particular work she alluded to with our middle school. So here, I've heard a lot, and I feel like that's right. We're here to govern. And I think, and we must allow the superintendent, who has said this numerous times, we have charged her with doing this work. So here I'm saying I've read it, I've done due diligence, I've had questions answered, and now we charge her to do this work for this amount, $175,000, to ensure that we have accountability to this. This is her work. And so I stand there with this recommendation that is now her work and it's in her hands, once we approve this, to do the work along with her staff. Thank you.
All right, board members, there's been a motion for approval that has been made and properly second. All those in favor by show of hands. 3, 4, 5, motion carries.
What's the count?
5. There being no business, this matter is adjourned.